All right, let's go. Oh boy, get my shoes off here. All right, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and boy, what a lousy night that was, huh? That was just pure evilness, pure evil. That was not okay. All right, let's blow up the chat so I can see what we got here. Icy, how you doing? Yeah, yep. Dog, Steven, trap game. We're on a big win streak. Bad loss is bound to happen. The Ekblad things. Bruins young player wanting to prove themselves. We didn't take them seriously. It was a perfect storm. Complete agreement, Dog. Complete. Yeah, take it out on Toronto. I like that idea. Steven, truly terrible loss. Count how many times we got the puck within 5 feet of the blue line, failed to clear. Yep. Yeah, the NHL script writers. Hey, Craig. Yeah, you know, I mean, we was going to lose a game. Like I said last year. Oh, geez. Let's take the banner off. I see Kyle's gotten used to leaving the banner up there. Usually we take that off. Like I said last year, if we keep winning 6 and losing 1, okay. Right? Okay. Hell, just win 2, lose 1, and you win the cup. Right? Yeah. Just win 2, lose 1. You can't, you win the cup. Hey, JC. Hey, Pente. I mean, for those of you who are on the stream, I mean, just what an absolute disaster. It's 2-0. Everything's good. The app freezes. They score. They scored all 3 goals, Wada. We didn't see hardly anything. It froze right before whatever happened that Jones got the tripping penalty for. We managed to see Pasta score, and then it froze up again. And it was brutal. It was just bad. But it's just like Game 7, except we didn't tie it. Yeah. I mean, well, almost kind of did. Yeah, Game 7 of Boston. Yeah. What do I think about Jones so far? I missed the first couple of games. To be honest with you, it looked exactly like Ekblad Forsling last night, in both good ways and bad ways. Defensemen touch the puck a lot, so they're going to have turnovers. They're going to have giveaways. It's going to happen. I didn't see the tripping. I didn't see what led to the tripping call, so I can't speak to that. But he's as advertised, right? I mean, he's certainly not lazy or anything like that. I'm comfortable with him, certainly. When Ekblad comes back, I haven't seen enough to tell me otherwise one way or another. But, Boston just wanted it so bad last night. You could see that in the second period. That's how they ended up with the 1 power play, or we ended up with the 1 power play, because Boston was starting shit, and we were just like, what are you doing? Why are you pretending you're going to make the playoffs, Boston? Let it go. But Craig says, yeah, WTF was Benny doing poking at a Sasquatch, right? And Zadorov got him right here. So there was nothing. Zadorov had such a good grip on Bennett. There was nothing he could do. There was nothing he could do but just try to not get clocked. That was, I don't know what he was thinking, right? You don't need to go climb. But I like Samoskevich, though. Samoskevich went after Zadorov too with a hit. And if you watch after he did the thing to Reinhardt, one of the guys that comes over and gives Zadorov a little cross check to the chest there was Samoskevich. I thought that was great. Too much defending last night. JC says, rumor has it Bennett is asking for no less than 7 in Edmonton, maybe his landing spot. Why would we let him go for 7? Why would we let him go for 7? Nah, we can afford that. We can absolutely afford 7. Nah, maybe not 8 anymore since we got Jones added on, but I think we can afford to give him 7. I think that would be a silly a silly loss for that much money. iDog says if Bennett goes to the Oilers, I might vomit. That would hurt more than Stolarz, Lorentz, and OEL on the Leafs. Yeah, I wouldn't be. That's not going to be pleasant, right? That would not be a good time. Benji says, I'd like to see better play out of Carter, and Reinhart could do more, even though can't ask much more. Carter is good at finishing plays, but he ain't my favorite, not even close. Telling you, do you see these guys are all passing the puck to Sam Miskevich? You see Jones last night on that power play, thought about taking the shot, slid it over. Sam Miskevich is going to take Verhaeghe's spot. I mean, he already did on the power play, right? I can't wait to see what that kid, what he's going to do next year. You know, in playoffs, he's probably going to slow down a little bit, right? Because there's not going to be as much room. But a full season of training for that kid with all the experience he's getting now, I don't see any reason why he won't get at least 20 goals next year. Steven says Boston dumps their team and then cleans Tampa and Florida, right? I know. Yeah. You could tell they took it personal. You could tell the guys on the ice took it personal. But they're just a little bit too far out. I talk about it in the members podcast today. JC says, that's what I'm saying. 7, yes. And if you compare Canada to US, that's like 7 or 8. More like, yeah. I would hope Zito wouldn't lose him for that much money. I mean, before we got Jones, I was willing to pay Bennett 8 knowingly and overpay, but not for us. You know what I mean? Sometimes, if you got Dan Marino and he's got a favorite center, you overpay the center if you can do it. Hey, Great White says, Jaws, why does Zito keep going out and getting new backup goalies when Bob plays 97% of the games anyway? A new backup is the last thing the Panthers need. Well, but did something else happen? No, nothing else could happen. Trade deadline's over. You had to move on from Knight to get Jones. I don't think it was necessarily about wanting to get a new backup. It's just that was the price that we had to pay for Jones. And, I remember Spencer was going to be his contract was going to be up at the same time as Bob. So we don't know if Bob's planning on re-signing, extending or what. But each time we get a guy and we can't afford to keep him, that's really the biggest part. Every time we get a guy, like we lost Rieger expansion draft, right? We couldn't afford Stolarz. Lyon left because he was supposed to get a bigger opportunity. These guys all want to play. So they come here, they show that they can play on a good team, and then the good teams want them. So I think it's just a product of, a product of the fact that we've got a good goalie system that we can bring guys in and turn them into, and improve their game. Prince says, good thing we got Sam Miskevich. Was he off the ice at all last night? Like, I couldn't believe it on the 5-on-4 with the net empty. He's got Sam Miskevich out there. So it's like Barkov, you would assume Barkov, Reinhart, Verhaeghe. I guess normally it would be Tkachuk, right? Normally that would be the setup, but you also got Bennett. You want a defenseman out there, so that's Forsling. Bennett says problem with Sasha is that he needs to do everything. He needs to do always everything. Wingers should get more goals because Sasha mastering the full 200-foot game. Barkov wasn't really all that involved last night. He wasn't. You can tell when he's when he's on and everything, right? Yeah, we don't know, Pente. I don't know what Ekblad took either. JC says it was a $1 million difference when we lost Gudis. I know, but Bennett, you got to pay him. You have to pay him, right? iDog says, so you're saying it was Mackey's fault we lost because he was out there so much? No, I'm saying Maurice is putting the guys out there with legs. You know what I mean? But in fact, at the end of that, towards the end of that 5-on-4, Samoskevich was trying to get off, and they ended up doing a line rush instead, and he had to stay on because he couldn't get off the ice. He was trying to get off the ice. Vincent says, Verhaeghe is an issue. What happened there? Yeah. He's going to turn it on for the playoffs? Right? He's going to turn it on for the playoffs? Maybe. But he says it's because of what I just said about Sasha. He's human. He can't do everything always. No doubt. No doubt. No disagreement there. Pente says, without Sasha, I'm not sure Carter would even be a 50-point guy, and I'm serious. Same goes to Reinhardt, but make it 70 points. I mean, you know, a lot of guys are products of the guys that they play with, right? You know, I mean, that's pretty typical, which is kind of the point about Bennett. You know what I mean? You got these guys that fit together so well. You need to find a way to keep them. Yeah, Craig says Swaggy got married. Yeah, Swaggy got married. Something, the juju definitely something changed. You know, even when he's taking his shots, it's just the puck's not going in. How many goals does he have? How many goals does Verhaeghe have at this point? Hey, Paul, you say it's Ekblad's fault we lost last night? We'll blame him the rest of the way, right? Yeah, Reinhardt's going to slow down a little bit too. I mean, we're not scoring a ton either way. I think somebody mentioned that up above here. Where was that? Oh, that's goal differential. Chucking around says our goal differential is still 9 points, 9 goals behind last year's pace. That's not too bad, though. I don't think we'll pull the A off his jersey, Kachuckin. I think if we were going to, we probably would have already done it. I don't think we have an A out there right now. Not that you would expect us to have any, you know, leadership issues, but no Kachuk, no Ekblad. It's gonna feel a little bit different on that bench. Craig says he needs to knock her up and join the other dads. Oh, I'm sure that's coming. I'm sure that's coming. Benji says, I'd like to see some speedsters top 20 player next to Sasha. Players like Jesper Ratt. I don't know. I mean, with the way the system is so defensive minded, you know, I mean, Barkov and Reinhardt as a pair is just when you know, when everything's going well, those guys, you know, especially like shorthanded. I mean, it's just like we take a penalty now and we're just thinking shorthanded goals. It's crazy. They designated Forsling and Reinhardt as alternates last night. I see. Okay. Yeah, Pro we got to beat Toronto tonight. That's really the biggest thing. That's really the biggest thing. We got 3 games against Toronto, and some of these other teams got 3 games against each other too. I think we've got 3 games against Toronto. I believe it's 3 against Montreal. Ottawa and Columbus play each other 3 more times at the end here. That's going to be something to watch because Ottawa's kind of running away with that 7 seed right now. So it's only looking like that 8 seed is the one that's really, really up for grabs at this point. And, you know, New Jersey beat Columbus last night. So I think they're pretty secure in that 3 spot. Panthers last night, you could have probably saw that coming because we play so much better when our backs are up against the wall. And what did we do when we got up 3-0 on Edmonton, right? We played like ass for 3 straight games. Everybody must stop taking their roids. I've been seeing those comments. There's actually Oilers fans that are going around YouTube saying the Panthers only won because they cheated. I mean, the lack of self-awareness. I feel bad for people that actually are that far mentally challenged that they could get to the point where they think the Panthers won the cup because the whole team is on the juice. It's sad. It's sad. It really is what some people end up convincing themselves of. Craig says the loss will help you focus them. Sure. They probably looked a little bit ahead to Toronto, especially once it's 2-0, right? Once it's 2-0, they're like, okay, all right, Boston will quit now. And Boston, for whatever reason, not that they're completely out of it, but they just haven't quite believed the narrative that they're done. And you could tell they were pissed off. They Sasha with Bratt and Reinhardt. Well, I mean, only one person could put I don't know. I mean, obviously Bratt's a good player, but I kind of like the guys we got. You know what I mean? I think eventually you're going to probably see Samoskevich in that spot, especially if Barkov and Samoskevich continue to develop the chemistry on the power play. I think that's the way it'll end up going eventually. Not this year, obviously, but I think that's where you'll see that. I think you'll see that happen. And then it'll just be who's on the left wing with Bennett and Kachuk at some point. iDog says, I hope the Kings play the Oilers in the first round again and finally beat them. I think it's pretty much a done deal, isn't it? I mean, it's pretty close to a done deal, right? It's pretty close to a done deal. I was looking at the standings earlier, which is why I'm saying I think Edmonton and come on, phone. Oh, I see. Yeah, because Vegas kind of getting ahead in that division right now. They got 83 points. Oilers 78, Kings 77. They're really fighting just for who's going to have home ice advantage. It's going to be Oilers Kings unless the wheels fall off in Vegas, and I don't suppose it's going to happen. Icy says, even if the Bruins make the playoffs, they'll only go as far as Swayman takes them. That's true. That's true. I still think it's going to be Ottawa and Columbus. Mackey will bump up to the top line in a week or two just to try it out. I mean, I got no qualms with that. That's been a crazy transition for that kid. I'm just so happy that Maurice is playing him and not just, playing footsies with him because he's a young kid. Benji says, have I seen the old interview where Zito was sniffing like crazy? I believe I've seen that. I know the innuendo behind that. Everybody's got something. Whatever is producing the clarity that Bill Zito uses to acquire all these players, I don't necessarily think I have a problem with it, right? It's only illegal because the government says it's illegal. Who gave them the right to tell us what we can do and what we can't do? Might be pushing it a little bit, but you get the point. Vincent said, I didn't know that when Zito gave Carter an extension, they did add a no-move clause to this year. Verhaeghe for Rantanen would have been perfect. Would it have been, though? You want to give Carolina Verhaeghe? That was my concern there. Would you really want to give Carolina Verhaeghe? And he wouldn't be able to leave, right? Like everybody else ends up leaving. Oh no, man. You imagine playing Canes in the Eastern Conference Finals, Haggy's on the other side. Oh, look, Carter got hot for the playoffs. Series over. That's Bob's weak spot too, is giving up those angle goals that I don't know. I don't know about that. Benji says it's okay to me, but it look bad when your GM is on live TV like that. Yeah, no disagreement. No disagreement there for sure. Um, do like the general managers and everything like that, I would assume they have to test, not like the players do, right? But do the teams do like random piss tests, or is it just once you got the job, long as you don't get caught, you're good? Pente says, I'm also happy Zito dodged the moose bullet. Yeah, 12 million is too much. That's too much. But well, we were talking to Carolina. I don't know what we was going to give up, but when you look at what Carolina got, you kind of got to figure would we have been offering Samoskevich? I hope not. Slap somebody up the head if they do that. You got to think production wise versus the money that we're spending. Vince says, well, Jeter is a weird guy by default. He's a good guy. He reminds me of me in the sense that because of the bald head with the beard, our faces aren't all that dissimilar. And if we lose weight, we lose it in our face and we look like we're on crack. When I first got sick back in 2010, when I got the Lyme disease without knowing it was Lyme disease, and I had to go on a really, really strict diet. I was down to like 150 pounds. I'm like 180 now. So that tells you how skinny I was. And my face got so sunken in from all the weight loss that my massage clients, they would say, my crack dealer's here. Crack dealer's here. So I get it. You lose a little bit of weight in your face, you look like you're snorting. JC, right? Yeah. Geeked up equals goat out of his mind. Brian says, I think Zito is just a little Rain Man and has some ticks. It's possible. I think we're all a little Rain Man on the right day, right? Go back and watch the one stream. It was a couple of streams ago. I think it was the first stream that I came back from being sick, but I didn't do a recap. If you watch the first two periods, I'm like, you would think I was drunk, but I wasn't. I was just so exhausted, and it had so much medication in me. Not, like Tylenol and stuff like that. It wasn't any narcotics. But I was just so exhausted from the whole ordeal that you watch the first two periods of that stream. It was like I was drunk. It was like I was drunk. Kyle was looking at me like, what the hell's wrong with this guy? Franks and B. Hey, Mike. Right? Yeah. I'd love to have some Franks and beans right now. I haven't had hot dogs. Oh, by the way, this is completely off topic, but I'm remembering it now, so I don't want to forget. Friday, two things. There will be no members podcast on Friday, and the noon stream on Friday will be at 10. I will keep reminding, I will post about that, but the noon stream on Friday will be at 10. I don't want to miss it because we're playing Toronto on Thursday, but Monday is Kyle's birthday. So Friday, I'm taking him to a big nature place where we go and we take the kayaks and all of that. So I want to get out of the house a little bit earlier. So that'll be on Friday. I'm not going to skip the stream, but it will be at 10 instead of noon. Good Chuck, are we ever going to find out what he took? I don't think so. I don't know. Like I joked yesterday, he's going to go on some podcast with Yandel over the summer and tell us what it was. Pente says Shawza had so funny talk with Kyle and talked about Pulviari, and then he got butchered saying, "Oh yeah, poor kid." Yeah, some of the names he hasn't seen them before. He's heard them. He's heard them, right? He's heard them, but some of them he hasn't seen before. JC says, my wife is a clinical doctor for kids on the spectrum. I swear she's constantly running tests on you. She's convinced you're a little Rain Man. JC, it just sounds like she's building evidence for the divorce, buddy. I think that's she's building evidence so the judge will have empathy in the divorce. But sorry to let you know on that. Yeah, exactly, Vincent. 10 is not at noons. I did eyes, yeah, about Jaws coming back for the theaters. They could have made it a week earlier, though. It's August 29th. Why they don't bring it back for my birthday on the 22nd? So I gotta wait. I gotta wait an extra week. I told them bring it back for my birthday, and they gotta wait. Well, they should have had it in the theater the whole summer. You know? Should have been the whole damn summer. Yeah, Pente. You think Belinskas was disappointing? I don't know. I thought he played pretty decent last night. Now I'm going to say it again. I didn't see exactly what happened on the goals because the app completely froze up. And it's really weird, man. I read this online with the ESPN app in case anybody's ever having any problems. It's to the TVs. The app to the TVs sucks because it constantly freezes up and everything. But then if I get the app and I watch it on the laptop and I connect the laptop to the TV, it's fine. It's perfect. It's no problem. So I'm just going to have to start doing that every night. But if anybody's having trouble with ESPN Plus to their TV, if you got a laptop, put it on the laptop and put it on the TV with the HDMI because it doesn't have no problems to laptop. But I read, because I was looking at it, I read some community boards and a lot of people having problems with it to the TV. Penty says he can't play top 6 minutes when contending. Well, Belinskas is a third D pair, man. He's fine. Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, Pente. I mean, that's why we went out. I mean, that's why we went out and got Jones and made him 7D. We can only have so good of a guy at 7D. But I get what you're saying. He's acceptable. You know what I mean? He's acceptable. But he's going to be on the ice the rest of the way this year and the first 2 playoff games. Thank you, Ekblad. So, we're gonna have to make do. I don't really necessarily feel like that was the problem last night. I know a lot of people want to kind of point that out, but I just think it was a circumstance of Boston being really desperate for points and us not taking the game seriously. Really, and we'll find that answer out Thursday night because these guys are going to take Thursday night seriously. We know that. Mike says, so I missed the beginning of the chat. Was last night's loss just an act of complacency, or did they discover something that wouldn't be there while Ekblad was there? Yeah, I think I answered that question without seeing the question, Mike. Yeah, I think it was just we made it 2-0. It's not like we looked spectacular, but we made it 2-0, and I think they just let their guard down, including Bob. Remember, Bob took another delay of game penalty. I mean, we just made some mistakes. We've seen that before from this team when they're not mentally checked in. And, Boston was just trying to drag us into taking the game seriously and getting physical. And, no Ekblad, no Kachuk. Barkov was just kind of like, whatever, right? So if you watch when Zadorov did what he did to Reinhart, this was so funny. Zadorov gets off of Reinhart and starts skating away. Barkov runs over, skates over, like he's going to do something to Zadorov, and he just kind of like bumps him with his ass just a little bit. He just like grazes him with his ass a little bit and then goes up against the boards and is like just trying to stay out of it. The Panthers just were not. They were probably looking over at Boston going, well, why are you doing this, man? What are you doing? Let me scroll to the bottom. Yeah, and that's the other thing. Thank you, Prowag, and saying Kulikov's giveaway in the second was horrible. I absolutely agree. But how many times is Kulikov going to have a bad giveaway like that? You know what I mean? Like the dude is like the most reliable guy on the team except for Forsling. It's every night. All he does is do the right thing. So shit's going to happen every once in a while. So the last thing I'm worried about is Kulikov. I mean, it was a bad giveaway. I did see that. So we'll know tomorrow how much of Ekblad's absence is really what's going to have an effect. Because last night we just were not engaged. Give Boston credit. They were. You know, I'm not taking anything away from them. They wanted that game. You could tell the crowd was dead the first half of the game. It was really dead in there. Craig says foot off the gas is totally a Cats thing. Yeah, you know, it happens. Yeah, Boston wanted it. The Samasevich goal was great. Yeah. RBJ says that was the most meaningful game Boston will play all year. And for us, it was just another regular season games, right? Corey says fans chanting, let's go Florida, 5 minutes to go in the second didn't help either. Yeah, you kind of got the feeling that once we got that second goal, that we just kind of figured, all right, there you go, Boston. All right, go to sleep. And they didn't. To their credit, they didn't. And everybody knew as soon as Boston made it 2-1, everybody knew it was going to get tied. I didn't think we was going to lose a regulation. I didn't think we were fixing to lose that game in regulation. But as soon as Pasta scored, you knew that game was getting tied up. You know, law averages. At that point, we had allowed one goal in 4 3/4 games. You know what I mean? At some point, we was going to have a bad 5 minutes. You know, it was going to happen. Paragon says, Boston fans think Zadorov rocked Bennett. I saw a miss and all helmet punches. It was a lame fight. Boston fans are getting wet pants all over it. I mean, Zadorov he's a foot taller than everybody. He had him here. If you get a guy here, he's done. If you're a bigger guy and you get a smaller guy here, as soon as I saw where Zadorov's hand was, I'm just like, Bennett, just go down. Who cares how this looks, man? Just go down. So, you know, yes, that's like it's like Rempe in New York. It's just like, okay, if that's what they want to hang their hat on, right? It's like, okay, everybody got to have something. Yeah, exactly, Craig. Play dead, Benny. Exactly. At one point, he was off balance, almost grabbing onto Swayman. I don't know what the hell Bennett was thinking anyway. I mean, you know, there's some guys you really just don't need to drop the gloves against. But that was after Zadorov had done that thing to Reinhardt. And at least the refs called that. At least the refs called that. But I don't think Boston's coming back and making it. JC says, who's the bigger disappointment, Bruins or Rangers? That's a good question. You kind of got to figure the Rangers. I mean, they had a 2-1 lead in the Eastern Conference Finals against the eventual champs last year, right? That's pretty close to that's pretty close. They had beaten us twice in a row in overtime. I think Boston, they'd already been, they hadn't been back to the Eastern Conference Finals in a while. So, yeah, I think Rangers for sure. Braves, you was hoping Benny would beat his ass. I don't know what Bennett was thinking. It's like me picking a like, come on, come back, wait, come down, Zadorov. Okay, now I can reach you. You know, I was like, what's he thinking? Penta says, who did expect something out of the Bruins? I don't know. I mean, I didn't think that there was gonna, I mean, they did still play pretty well last year, right? I mean, didn't we have to was it Boston who choked up the division to us at the end of the season last year? Or was that Toronto or Tampa? I thought it was Boston. I don't remember. I think it might have been Boston. JC says Bennett took a swig from Ekblad's water bottle just before he got into that scrum. Yeah. Right, exactly, Great White. Why was Boston picking a fight with Reinhardt all night? I know. Well, look, it was Boston. Thank you, Braves fan. Part of that is going to have to do with, I have noticed, I've said this before, I don't know how you solve this problem. But when Gadjevich is off the ice, I do tend to notice teams will take some extra liberties with us. Now, that problem used to be solved if Lombard was on the ice, right? But he was set there on the left-hand side for the most part, right? But with Gadjevich, it's not exactly Lombard. He's kind of out there. He's a good player, but he's really kind of out there for one purpose. And while I like the athleticism of the fourth line, Sturm, Nosek, Greer, at that point, you've only got Greer, who's a fighter. I don't want Bennett fighting because I don't want him breaking his hand or something stupid, right? I know Bennett is willing, but you don't want your 2C fighting, a month before the playoffs start. It's not good. Ray says, Benny took a blue chew. Yeah, that too. That was crazy. That's Zadorov. I still like Sam Miskevich hitting Zadorov. He hit him a couple of times. And did you see the look Zadorov gave him? It was just like, but it's a good problem to have. We got plenty of aggressive guys, but come playoff time, it's going to be Greer or nobody. Not that you see a whole lot of fights in the playoffs, but in this month leading up, it's going to get nasty. Without Gadjevich on the ice, I wouldn't mind giving Nosek a rest and put Gadjevich out there on Thursday night. Craig says, and Greer won't fight any Bruins since he was one. That's a really good point. That's a good point. I says, Bennett took a blue chew and arose to the occasion. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. That's you guys. Where's Trey's asleep, or he'd be chiming in as well. Well, Thursday night, tomorrow night's the important game. It's a shame. Panthers had an opportunity to really take a stranglehold on the division, and now we kind of are in a spot where you got to win that game. I know we're 2 points ahead, but now if you lose, you're going to be tied, but Toronto will have a game in hand. Which, by the way, I'm curious. Because we've been saying the division is really important because, trying to avoid Tampa. Instead, maybe you get Columbus. But what about Ottawa? Like, which series would you think would be more physical? Florida, Tampa, or Florida, Ottawa? Right? Now, what I keep trying to get the Maple Leafs to do, Toronto, if we both tank, let Tampa win the division. we could play each other in the first round. Let Tampa and Ottawa beat the crap out of each other in round one. And then whoever wins the Florida-Toronto series gets a beat-up team in the second round. Braves and Florida-Ottawa, right. Yeah, we keep mentioning Blue Chew. The algorithm will let them know and they'll contact us for sponsorship. Yeah. Well, we'll get Donna in on those commercials, right? We'll get Donna in on those commercials. Craig said, yeah, Ottawa with Dylan Cousins won't be easy. So that's my thought. Sunspine says Tampa, Florida has become more civilized in recent seasons. Right. Mason thinks Florida, Tampa. RBJ says, I'd rather blow 2-0 lead in the regular season than turn a 3-1 series lead against the 8th seed. It's a good point. Very good point, RBJ. So what do you think, Leaf fans? Right? I like the idea. I think it's a great idea. We both tank. Let Tampa win the division. We'll play each other in the first round. Tampa, Ottawa beat the crap out of each other in the first round. And then we have our series, and whoever survives has to play a team with no bodies left because they just beat the crap out of each other. I don't know. It don't sound so bad to me. Because now winning the division, it's like, well, when I thought it was going to be Columbus, right? But now, because we would get the first wild card team, right? So, like, because we're gonna be the 2 seed. If we win the division, we're gonna get the better of the 2 wild card teams, right? So that would be Ottawa. I'm correct there, right? Because I've seen some weird matchups where I didn't think that would be the matchup. You know, if the season ended today. In fact, let me check that. Because for a while I kept thinking, let's see, if the NHL playoffs started today. If they started today, now I have a question here. This is what I don't understand unless the BetMGM board is wrong. So I was under the assumption that if we're the 2 seed, we're the second best team in the conference, 1-8-2-7, right? So then if Columbus is the 8th seed, then why wouldn't it be Washington versus Columbus? Because like even right now, I'm looking at the MGM if the playoffs would start today, and it says if it started today, it would be Florida versus the Jackets and the Sens versus the Capitals. But I don't understand why that would be. It wouldn't Washington get the worst team? Wouldn't Washington get the second wild card team? It doesn't make any sense to me unless what I'm reading is wrong. Somebody who knows something that I don't, explain it to me, because I thought if Washington was 1, they're going to play the worst wild card team, which right now is Columbus. TK, is Ekblad done after this season? I don't think so. He's going to take a bigger pay cut now. He's going to take a bigger pay cut now. Michael says maybe MGM thinks the Panthers are going to be higher than Washington, but it's if the playoffs, if we started now, they say if we started now. So I don't know. Oh, here's the current playoff bracket for 2025. Doesn't make any sense. Washington should be against Columbus, right, Mason? Okay, so that's what I thought. Yeah. But if you go here, I'll show you what I'm looking at. I go here on a regular basis. Let's see. So there. So you can see that if the playoffs started today, this is what they've got. Oh, hold on a second. And that just doesn't make any sense. As Panthers Jackets, Sens Caps. That, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's backwards, right? That's the MGM site. I mean, maybe I should look somewhere else, but that's the one that just comes up for me when I put it into Google. So the site's wrong. We play Ottawa. Yeah, okay, that's fantastic. Yeah, they messed up, and I mean that's the casino site. I mean, that's pretty bad. Is there another? I'll stop sharing it. So yeah, it would be Ottawa. That's kind of what I was thinking. There's no other place that really gives it. So that's incredible that they actually have that wrong on there, because I keep seeing it and I'm like, but I thought I knew how this worked. It's making me question my brain cells. Great Wife says, do I ever use ChatGPT for hockey information? No. I tried to make some caricatures the other day. Good Lord. Those AI things suck. They're useless. Michael says, yeah, it's got today's date. Yeah, it's got today's date. It's so that's my point anyway, is that winning the division now would mean getting Ottawa. I don't know. I'm not as convinced that I want to win the division now. Right? Like now it's Ottawa or Tampa. I mean, now it's either way a bloody physical series, right? Unless, again, Tampa somehow wins the division. If we were smart, we'd start tanking now. But we can't tank, because if we tank, then Toronto wins games, and then they win the division, and we still got to play Tampa. So there's that. I guess we're just going to have to go through them, because when Ottawa beats Toronto, then we'd have to play Tampa and then Ottawa. Imagine the Kachuk Bowl, though. That would be crazy. Michael says, oh, you just have to know how to talk to the computers to get AI to do what you want it to do correctly. I mean, I've had some success when I've made some other inanimate objects, but when I gave it a picture to give me a caricature of a player, or I tried to tell it the player's name and get it to do what it needed to do, the results were hard. I mean, it was just awful. It was awful. I showed it a picture of Kachuk and said to make a caricature, and the thing looked like Jim Carrey. I mean, it was absurd. Craig says the only advantage playing Tampa is the easy travel. That's a good point. Yeah, Ottawa. Yeah, that's a good point. I hadn't thought about that. Right? But I still feel like it'd probably be better to play Ottawa, even though that series would be significantly more physical. You're talking about a team that's won championships before versus not, right? I'd rather face Olmark than Vasilevsky, all due respect. So, yeah, still important to win the division. I don't think I can talk myself out of that. Mike says, in my mind, there's no advantage to playing any of the playoff teams in the playoffs. I think the first seed should have to play San Jose. I agree. That's right. Well, that's what we were hoping for yesterday. If there was one really bad team that could go on like an 18-0 run to end the season and sneak in, and then we could play them like the Islanders, like if the Islanders just like blew past everybody and took the second wild card spot, the 7 seed, and then we get the Islanders in the playoffs. Of course, they'd be hot at that point. So, but yeah, the Kachucks in the playoffs. I mean, it's eventually going to happen, right? It's eventually going to happen. And Ottawa, Toronto would not be cupcakes and ice cream either. They're gonna be fighting with each other for sure. JC says whoever gets first seed gets the puck the first round and sets the rest of the matches. Like it says, with that, give it reference pictures. Oh, with that, give it reference pictures, websites, and specific features to exaggerate, and then give it a picture to turn into a caricature. Which one did I use? There was I think it was Gemini. Was it Gemini? No, Gemini I tried with a couple of things, and it got worse. It got worse as I went along. I didn't try very long though. Oh, I got annoyed with the whole process. Didn't matter anyway. They wouldn't let me sell the T-shirts I wanted to sell anyway. I don't know if they got AI on those sites or whatever, but geez, man, they took it down within a minute. So it was a good idea, but anything with the person's likeness on there, at least for Teespring, they just immediately take it down. Make it 3 separate bodies of text. I see what you're saying, one after another. Right. NHL says, I don't want the Isles to make the playoffs. We need a top pick in the draft. Montreal could go on that run. Right. Yeah. Well, tomorrow night's the important game. That's what matters. And then don't forget, we got back-to-back this weekend and next weekend. So that's 2 weekends in a row, Saturday and Sunday. So we play Saturday, Sunday this week, and then we don't play again until Thursday. So we're going to have a little bit of time off. I'm assuming we'll see Vanashek on Saturday. I think it's the Islanders, or excuse me, on Sunday. It's the Islanders on Sunday. Good point. Craig says the Panthers should hire Keith so he can get his name on the cup list if they win again. Might be going to the Islander Panther game. That's cool. Hey, YouTuber, we're just getting ready to finish up here. Just getting ready to finish up. I got to get Kyle to the gym, and I got to go drop off some contracts for something for the show. I got everything set up with the theater, so I got to go take care of all of that stuff. All right. Yeah, your Habs beat the Canucks 4-2. Montreal's like right there. Montreal's right there. Montreal's got to play Ottawa 3 times, so I think it's Montreal and Ottawa. I got to play 3 more times. It's going to be a lot of good games. Kyle and I are going to try to stream coming up here, not this week, but the following week. Because there's a lot of games that are going to have a lot of impact on the Eastern Conference, especially. I still kind of feel like it's going to be Ottawa and Columbus, but wouldn't that be crazy if Boston snuck in at 8 and then Washington played Boston? That would be over quick, right? So, all right, everybody, I'm going to roll, get moving. Appreciate all the support. Thank you all for hanging out with me. Members podcast will be up in about a half hour. And then past that, I'll see you tomorrow at noon. And then we got tomorrow night. That's the big one. As she says, oh, look at that. That's the big one. We'll see you.